guys, today we're going to be reacting to 20 people confront a billionaire, featuring this guy called John Morgan. I don't know who he is, but this looks like a ritual room that they're gonna start some sort of ritual on him. But yeah, let's go.
Today, I think we've all sat here and we've heard you talk about your jet and Maui and your 3 homes and the money that sits in your account that you don't care to touch. What stops you from helping every person in this room that's struggling right now? How do you help them? What do you do? Because you got a private jet, but I had to take off from work today and I'm struggling. I got bills, man.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna go against, basically. Well, he's gonna go against, he's gonna go against people who are just kind of annoyed that he has his blessing. It's weird. What's he gonna do about that? You want him to just give you all his money or some sort of charity? It's weird.
I'm John Morgan, the founder of Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. And according to Forbes, I'm a billionaire. Ask me anything.
My first question is, how much are you currently worth and how did you amass that amount of money?
I'm a lawyer. I went to law school and became a lawyer, but I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I built and operate a chain of attractions across America. I have Marriott hotels across America. I build shopping centers.
I like the way he talks like a boss. I got this and that, right? You know?
The big part of my wealth has been generated by my law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Well, I don't know exactly how much I'm worth. I used to tell my kids when they were little, when their friends would ask them, are we rich or not? I said, the answer is this. We're comfortable.
What do you mean comfortable? Like, you definitely have way more than just being comfortable. You live a luxury life.
Do you call being
Oh my god, she is so mad. Why are you guys mad? Calm down. Calm down. No one's asking you to attack him. Even the music was like dun, 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 dun. Okay. I think saying that you're comfortable, I feel like that's a good thing, but at the same time it's strange not to be honest with your kid. I mean, it's also at the same time you're not really meant to explain to your kid, yeah, we're so rich, we're this and this and that, we have all this. So then you can train their brain to not be so arrogant and boast to other people. That's a good thing. I mean, saying you're comfortable is a little bit of an understatement. Just say that we are well off than most people and we should be grateful for that. You know what I mean? She was so mad.
worth $1 billion comfortable?
Very. And but you don't feel like it because you don't spend it. When you grow up a certain way, it's not like it's changed much in my life. I'm in the same house. I don't spend the money that you would think I'd spend. It's odd because you have all this money in the bank, but it doesn't really change what you do day to day.
My question for you.
That's good though. That's what you expect when people get rich, but actually not really applicable to most people. Most people, when they get rich, they just kind of they change. They think they're better. You know, they kind of get weaker as a person. And you know, he's stayed true to himself. So that's good.
Is what stops you from using your wealth to change somebody's life?
Nothing.
Here he goes.
Listen, I live 3 places. I live in Florida. I live in Maui, Hawaii. And
what's the word? He's getting him ready. He's warming him up to the idea of giving him money.
I live in New Hampshire. But I've taken my wealth and done certain things. Like in Florida where I live, I ran a constitutional amendment twice to legalize medical marijuana. I lost the first time, but I won the second time with 72% of the vote. I believe that income inequality is the #1 issue facing America today. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. And every day the gulf is getting wider. So what did I do? I ran a constitutional amendment. I spent tens of millions of dollars to raise the minimum wage from $8 an hour to $15 an hour in Florida. That's a doubling of the minimum wage. So I take that money that I make and I've run those constitutional amendments and I've put money into food banks and coalition for the homeless, and it goes on and on. And I will tell you this, not to pat me on the back too much about it because I don't really feel it. I don't really.
Yo, what are they snickering about? I feel like he's actually a good person, but they have some sort of like it's like they came in with this feeling like, I'm gonna be mad today no matter what. You know, you're not gonna change my mind. And they're like, yeah, right. We're not gonna even pat you on the back. I don't know. It's just even what are you what are you even wearing? What is that? Looks like a curtain thingy the one that closes it. Oh my god! It's like they ran out of fabric and they're like, you know what? This will do. This will cover you up.
Really feel it. I was at lunch the other day and this woman walks up to me. She says, "John, I just want to thank you and your wife for the donation you made to iDignity." I didn't know what
Also, side note, her hair is really cool. I really like that. The gradient.
iDignity was. I said, "How much do we give?" She said, $500,000. It turns out that my wife had given the money. And by the way, if you want money, call my wife. And iDignity is a place for the poorest of the poor to get identification, because more and more in this country, you need to have identification just to get food stamps. I believe when you make this kind of money, you have an obligation to give it back. You don't feel it. It doesn't hurt you. You know, you can look at me and know I'm not missing too many meals. So I don't feel like I'm doing anything special. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
So I'm going to try to rephrase it. What stops you from getting out that car at the
And giving me the money. What stops you right now from handing me your credit card?
moment where you and your son, you seen the homeless person? What stopped you from changing that person's life?
Well, I do get out of the car from sometimes. When I pull up to a stoplight and there's somebody out there begging for food, even if they look like they've been eating donuts for the last 10 years, I give them money because I'm not going to judge them. I look at them this way. They're out there on the street in the heat. I don't know what they're doing out there, but you know what? It's not my job to judge.
I feel like a lot of billionaires, they say the same thing. They say they do donate and they do give to people. You give to organizations and large conglomerates that take your money and they break it up and they throw it around. If you're not handing something down to help somebody who really needs it, then what does it matter?
You're in the law field.
I don't really necessarily agree with that. I mean, of course there can be like bad organizations, but you have to pick. You have to really pick and see which ones are good. It's not that difficult, honestly. Even if it it turned out to be a good foundation or whatever it is that you are donating to, at least you did it. At least you're like, I want to donate, and you donated it. That doesn't go away. You know, it still counts. But at the same time, you don't just focus your money on donating to foundations. You also focus on people around you, making visible change in front of you, which is what he did do. He is saying he does that, but I feel like he's focusing more on foundations, and this guy's mad about that. It looks like it's from like personal experience, I think.
And that's how you've amassed your network and everything that you've earned. If you had to start over in a different industry, what would you be in order to become a billionaire again?
I don't even know how it happened in the first place. So it's like keep waiting to wake up, and it was all a dream. I was like, how did this happen? Listen, here's my problem. I suck in math and I suck in science, so there's not many jobs left for me after that. But my gut tells me I want to go to Wall Street and make deals like that. But what I would probably do is...
What was that face that she did?
I want to go to Wall Street and make deals like that. But what I would probably do is stay in the attraction business that I'm in. I love that business because there's no fighting. And I did it as a hobby. I've always thought what I could have done with my attraction and amusement business if I'd had it full time instead of, it was more like collecting stamps than anything, to tell you the truth.
So you made some comments about liking capitalism and how much legislation you did for raising the minimum wage for $15 an hour here in Florida. Is there anyone at your law firm or your multiple businesses that you're paying less than $15 an hour now?
No.
What an odd question. Even if he did, why would he admit to you that? You're like, are you a hypocrite? And he's gonna be like, no, I'm not a hypocrite. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
And I wasn't paying less then because
It doesn't really confront anything because he can just lie to you at the same time. And it doesn't help anyone with this question. Is just kind of like it's a little bit of an attacking question, to be honest.
I believe that a living wage is a civil right. I also believe that retaining employees with a living wage and bonuses, it's good for business. I believe by paying more to my employees, I keep them, attrition is lower, and believe it or not, although it sounds backwards, I believe by paying more, I make more.
Yeah, you're motivating the employees, you're making them feel better. That will increase the production in less time, in less time frame, you know?
Because I keep people, and my people are really all I have.
So, in your opinion, why aren't other billionaires doing the same thing that you're doing?
Well, I think some are and some aren't. A lot of people have to, like once I raised the minimum wage here in Florida, all of a sudden, out of the blue, Universal raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I kind of took credit for that. At a certain point, when wages start to rise, businesses have to respond, because if Universal's paying $15, then Disney's got to pay $15, because who cares if you're running Small World or Harry Potter? You're looking for a job.
So you mentioned a little bit how you've put money into politics and things like that, and in the current political climate in the United States, our government's run by the billionaires, kind of for the billionaires. What do you think the moral role of a billionaire should be within the United States government?
By and large, the opposite of what it is. These fat cats got so much money, but they want the tax laws to benefit them. Like these hedge fund people don't even pay taxes. And so the billionaires are not satisfied with what they have. They want more and more and more and more. And what my worry is, this income inequality, at some point there's a breaking point. At some point you can become Cuba.
Why is he sitting like he's about to propose to the guy?
And what I would say to these billionaires, you're going to make this gulf so big and so vast just because you don't think it could ever happen in America. Just remember January 6th. Just remember them storming the Capitol. Those were the barbarians at the gate, and they were mad as hell. And you know what they're mad about? They were mad because they think they're going to fall further and further behind. They weren't mad, and they thought Donald Trump was the one that could do it for them. But that's why they stormed the Capitol. And when I saw it, I said, that could be our future if we let the haves and the have-nots get so separated.
I think everybody knows that probably every single billionaire does evade taxes. And he did say that he wants billionaires to be taxed so high, but I can promise you he probably has found ways to evade taxes.
Oh my God. What's going on? I feel like, for me personally, I'm losing track of what he's saying because I'm kind of distracted. But where is he getting this from? How do you know he's evading taxes? Why do you have this? They like, I'm telling you, they have this agenda they came with, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna attack him, either in front of him or in the confessions. It's like, what are you doing? What do you mean evade taxes? He just said, didn't he just say he's gonna raise taxes like she said? I don't know. Why would he evade taxes anyway? He's a billionaire. He can just, he can just pay them. They all have different stereotypes of what a billionaire should do or be like. Maybe that's what they're asking, the different characteristics of what he thinks a billionaire is, because they all have their own predetermined concept of them.
Back in around like 1940s, the tax rate was around like 90s, higher than 90%, right? Would you be somebody that would advocate to bring back such a high tax rate in order to redistribute the wealth?
I don't know about 90% because you got to have some motivation. Listen, I am a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, but I also believe we have to do the most for the most with least.
So when you mention capitalism, right? Capitalism is kind of inherently parasitical, right? You're going to always take more from the workers. You're going to put a profit on their labor that they're putting into the business. And I think now we're seeing that capitalism inherently causes these income inequalities. So I think we need to expand those social safety nets. We need to increase taxes on the wealthy in order to allow the poor to enjoy, the things that maybe you enjoyed when you were younger and things like that.
Well, look, I agree with you. And
honestly, I have nothing to say about this because I don't really know much about any of this, like capitalism, all that stuff. Never been really interested in that stuff, so I never really researched it. I don't even know what it really means, to be honest. I don't know.
I think it's really for these people who are so rich, they're going to lose it one way or the other if they don't. Because look, The thing about, you got socialism and capitalism. Socialism on paper makes a lot of sense, but then you got to count on everybody working. Will they all work? But in the short run, what we're seeing right now with this big, beautiful bill that they're talking about, we're talking about cutting all sorts of benefits to give more money to the rich and dig our country into trillions of more long-term.
By the way, sorry, side note, his like suit being like that, it looks like so comfortable. Like you just wanna like if it was maximized, you just wanna fall into it like a plushie. I don't know, something about this, it just looks so soft. You just wanna it's crazy.
Debt. And I look at it and I scratch my head. The rich should be taxed bigger and harder. And so the reason I'm more for capitalism is because if you go to a socialistic country like France.
France is not socialist.
France is not?
No. You look at, let's say China. We'll give China for
Well,
example.
China's not. China's communism. I've been to China.
China's not communist.
Huh?
China's not communist. They're run by the Chinese Communist Party, but they're not.
What
don't
are
have
they?
Any, they're a socialist country.
Socialist?
Yes. And you
Listen,
look at their
man,
infrastructure.
hey,
you
man,
look at
I've been to
their
China.
wealth inequality, and it's actually pretty good.
Have you ever been to China?
Have I? No.
Let me tell you something. It is the most oppressed country I've ever been to.
Look, no. China is not oppressed. Look at China. China has they have great social safety nets.
You need to go to China and watch the people with their heads down.
This is a completely different.
Yo, so they're having a fight about whether China's oppressed or not. He's never been to China. He's been to China. And he's just talking about, I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't trust someone's opinion about China who's never been to China and who's only trusting facts coming from America and stuff like that. Because usually America is like they have their own bubble of ideas and history, so I don't know. I don't know, this is so tense.
Different China we're talking about. I'm talking
about China today.
I'm talking, yeah, okay, if we're talking about China today, then no.
So then you have drank the wrong Kool-Aid.
I was like, oh, I'm the only Asian person in the room, so it's like so weird to see somebody kind of like debate about a country that my mom is from. I would have to agree with John more in terms of like China being a communist country.
John, I'm a parent, and one of the challenges I have is making sure that my mindset is not my children's mindset. How do you overcome that challenge as a billionaire to make sure your children have their own
This is what I like. This is what I'm talking about.
mindsets?
That's hard to do because they live with you and they hear you. The interesting thing about life is you get older, you start listening to your children, you're like, they're stealing all my shit. I said that. I did that. But what I used to tell them is this: when you're watching me, take the good parts and leave the bad parts. And the thing I used to tell my kids is the only thing that I want you to be, I don't care what you are other than this, I want you to be a compassionate human being. I want you to put other people first. And that's the only mindset that I wanted them to take. And
some people are warming up to him, you can tell, but he's really tensed up right now, and this guy, like, some people are really hating on him, like her, look at that. But he has good ideas, and he's wait, one of those pants, bro. Why are they so short? I don't want to see your ankle. Oh my god.
And I think that they have done that.
One of my goals, I think, is to make my kids better than me. What's your main challenge that you see as a billionaire making your kids better than you?
The main challenge is that your children do not feel entitled. There's nothing worse than an entitled person, somebody who was born with a silver spoon stuck up their butt, and they become the worst person in the world. I never bought my kids nice cars because I knew they were going to be dinged. And you have to make your kids work. You have to have consequences that are consistent. But the main thing you have to do, if I was giving advice as a parent, you got to spend a whole lot of time. It's all about the time. And remember this, your child is one friend away from total disaster. And when you see that friend, you got to separate that friend as hard as it is.
So you just mentioned that when you have a child who is having a friend that you find them to be not good for them, essentially, that you have to do what you can to separate them. As a billionaire, what does that entail for you?
Well, you can only do so much. I mean, I've only separated 2 friends in all the years. And one was a kid who used to come over and, you know, he just reeked of marijuana and he was stoned and I just had a bad vibe. And I said, look, so-and-so,
Okay, yeah, see,
you
she's
can't
on
go
that.
over there and he can't come over here. My son Matthew was enraged. You can't tell me who's going to be my friend. I said, I'm telling you, you can't go there and they can't come here. But you can't stop them at school. You can't stop them at a certain point. Later in life, I was justified because that kid that I was worried about ended up in prison.
I'm someone who works with youth in Orlando. I spend every moment of my days to coach and develop the youth in Orlando. And I work with at-risk youth. And one of the biggest things that I have seen in Orlando is that since medical marijuana was passed as a bill in Florida, marijuana use has become normalized among the youth and those that are underaged. One of the things that you mentioned earlier is that you didn't allow your son to be friends with someone who smoked pot because he smelled loud and he smoked weed. So why would you advocate for a bill like that to be passed when you kicked someone out of your family's?
What? That's so different. That's so different. Medical marijuana is different. It's given in certain doses and it's what's it called? Under supervision from actual medical professionals. Okay? Health professionals, whatever. They know what they're doing. They know how much to give you. They know what to expect. They know how much to observe you for and what to give you later and everything. No, they don't know everything, but you know, they're licensed. They learned in school. Having marijuana or drugs as recreationals, you are addicted to it. It's such a simple way to answer it. He's just wrong to ask this because it doesn't make sense that he would ask this when the answer is so clear. You know, you're self-medicating basically. You're addicted, of course you're gonna get more and more and more. You're gonna act erratically and crazy. You're gonna be intoxicated the whole time. You don't know how you're behaving, what you're doing. Your prefrontal cortex with the logic and decision making side of your brain is not as active as if you were sober. It's also different that this person will have an effect on your child. Why would you want your child to start getting illegal drugs, or maybe it's legal, I don't know, but anyway, recreational drugs, and smoke them and use them as a way to cope with problems? That's so different from medical marijuana. Medical marijuana, isn't it just for pain relief, like after wisdom teeth removal or whatever you do? That's to help you and give you a better experience in after you did some sort of surgery or whatever, or procedure. But doing it just because you cannot cope with yourself is such irresponsibility. He probably does smoke marijuana. That's a question that someone who smokes marijuana would ask.
Circle who was smoking
Xanax and
himself.
when my brother was paralyzed, they had him on Percocet, Xanax, and everything else. The only thing that gave him relief, immediate relief, was marijuana. Listen, I believe
Yeah, see,
that
exactly.
marijuana use at an early age fries the mind.
Exactly, you're still developing. I forgot to mention this. You're still developing as a child. You're still experiencing the world. You know, your brain doesn't fully understand what's going on, and now you're screwing up your brain just for a moment of happiness, like a spike in dopamine, like stupid.
I drug tested my children a lot, and my son Matthew failed that drug test a lot. But here's the difference.
Damn.
Would I rather have my brother taking marijuana gummy or opioids, fentanyl? It's a no-brainer. So I don't think marijuana use is on the rise. Let me tell you something. If you want marijuana today, go to any middle school in America,
Yep.
and we'll have a nickel bag real fast.
Yeah. So do you feel that there's an ethical gray area when it comes to use of marijuana or other drugs in the youth or in adults in our country?
This feels like a kid asking their parent for permission to have marijuana. What is this?
And do you think that that leads to potentially a ethical gray area for you as a billionaire as it relates to other things in your life?
Medical marijuana, no way. Because listen, where I think the unethical conduct is coming from is from the pharmaceutical industry. Marijuana is a plant that was put into earth by God or by nature, and it works. I don't know how it works. I don't know how aloe works, but when you rub aloe on
Why do they have this mockery face on them?
sunscreen, it goes away. So I feel very good morally, ethically, every single way about what I did with medical marijuana. And here's the proof in the pudding. 1 million people in Florida have a card, and guess who uses it mostly? People 65 and older. Go to the marijuana stores, look at the marijuana stores, look who's going in. It ain't kids, it's me.
Yeah, so I'm still really confused about the marijuana thing. I feel like with a lot of billionaires, they do want to care for people, but they really don't.
Wait, what did he mean going to the store? So he says for medical on adults only, and then for recreational also on adults, like older adults. I don't agree with that part. I don't think anyone should use it for recreational. If, like, we weren't put on this earth just to cope with our whatever feelings we have or problems, using external things that mess up with our brain chemicals, you know what I mean? External things should be like therapy or other things like spiritually or religion related things, whatever floats your boat, but should never be something that affects the way you think and just hides it for the moment. It just kind of buries it. Like, for example, if you have laundry on your bed, it's the same thing as putting it under your cover and hiding it and making it look neat when it's not actually.
I want them around them. So that's what I feel that you feel with the marijuana. You're fine with people growing it. You're fine with people doing whatever. But right when it's in your house, you don't really care about the person. And you want them not around you or your family.
I'd take a gummy every night. It's in my house what are you talking about?
Then why did you kick the person out of your house?
He was a kid who I thought was, not just that he reeked of marijuana, he was a kid who I thought was bad news. I didn't think that he was smoking marijuana. I thought he was selling marijuana. Look, I think all of Matthew's friends.
Why are they so pressed about the fact that he did not want a child, by the way, who looks like they could be selling or still even just using it means that you have connections to get it for the friend, that your child. Why are they so pressed about that fact? It's so good to protect your child's safety and like livelihood and people who are around them. I feel like these questions are very telling of the person asking them. They look like they use it and they're trying to defend themselves because it makes them feel some sort of like guilt about it or something, you know?
Smoke marijuana. And so that wasn't the issue. The issue was this guy might be a criminal. This guy is a bad influence.
Exactly.
So don't take it the wrong way.
Okay, so you kind of briefly talked on like for-profit CEOs and things like that. I was just kind of hoping to hear your take on the current state of, healthcare and what recently occurred with their CEO.
Before I answer that question, I want to go back to the coach's question about marijuana, just so everybody understands where I stand. If John Morgan was king, I'd legalize marijuana all over the country, and I'd let you grow it at your house. So that's how I feel about marijuana. As far as the healthcare, think about this for a minute. There's only one place that we go ever, and we never ask what it cost. When you go to get your hair cut, what's the cost? When you go to buy a candy bar, what's the cost? When you walk into a hospital, none of us ever ask what it's going to cost. You can get a Tylenol pill over here for $20. It could be $1 at the other hospital. The of the insurance industry by healthcare is awful. It's off the charts. Our pharmaceuticals in this country are way more money than pharmaceuticals in his favorite country, China. And so you've got the healthcare where we don't ask what things cost, and then you got insurance companies who are fighting healthcare, and they're trying to gouge. The hospitals are trying to gouge. The insurance companies are trying to not be gouged. They're fighting, and guess who's stuck in the middle? The person who needs treatment, the person who has cancer, and they're saying, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And then what happens? People go postal. People snap.
So would you...
I don't agree with the fact that you would allow people to grow marijuana in their backyard. Is that what it's called? Yeah, backyard or garden, or have it legalized everywhere in the country. Nah, I feel like that's just very, very unethical. If you're gonna legalize it, at least have the person have a psychological examination to see where their head is at, because you could easily die from overdose. Doesn't matter if it's something as normalized as marijuana or like fentanyl, where if you take like an ant-sized amount, you could die. Drugs should never be allowed to the normal average person. It should always be used when they are in terms of saving your life or helping you have a better recovery or having a better quality of life in terms of medical care, all that stuff. But yeah.
You be in favor then of a socialized form of healthcare in the United States?
I don't know how it will work. Listen,
Every other major country has a socialized form of healthcare.
when Obama was president, he came to my house as president. I supported Obama. I'm on the National Finance Committee for Obama. And one of the things that I really liked about Obama was Obamacare. A lot of people lost their House seats for voting for Obamacare. So, listen, I'm all ears about anything we can do to get more medicine and more treatment to people. My brother-in-law is a physician up in Haines City, Florida. I have a clinic called the Morgan & Morgan Clinic where he runs it, I fund it, and we take care of everybody who has lost in the system who can't get care.
How do you deal with profiting over other people's
I don't
injuries?
really have anything to say about that. I don't know why this guy keeps bringing up socialism, socialize, all that stuff. Like, what does socialism even mean? Let me search on my phone. I'm not very familiar with these terms. Person who advocates or practices socialism. Wow, really? Oh my god. Okay, socialism. A political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. I don't agree with that, because you don't really know the people that are in the community. You can't really trust anyone. As they say, humans are like the worst creature, basically. In terms of socialism, it should be something about, do we want this facility to be built, like this fun park? Where do we want to place this? How many? Like, something should be, that thing should be, like, socialists should control things that are very serious, informal, kind of improves quality of life in terms of, like, you go to the park over here because we all voted on it to be here. We all chose for this thing to be over there. Oh, but we also all chose to have a separate lane for kids to bike and then the other lane for cars. Something like this, like something that it wouldn't affect much if it was chosen by them or not. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be serious, affecting decisions to be chosen by the community. Every community is different. You can't have this. It places blame on people and causes chaos in society. The cohesion is gone. It should be by the authority figures that would consult many more professionals and authorities to make a decision. I keep hitting the mic. I don't know how that would sound, like I don't know. But anyways. Yep.
In your law firm?
Every business is in business to make a profit. If you don't have a profit, you don't have a business. On the other side of me and on the other...
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, unless you're a charity, you have any sort of business that deals with something that you have to pay for, it's a profit business. But you're not profiting over people's injuries, you're profiting from helping them get the justice that they need. And because of that, you need the money to supply yourself and to fund your business, and for marketing, for resources, for employees, for salaries. That's how you're able to employ the really good lawyers, really good HR, all that stuff. You need money for that. They're not going to do their job for free. That's why it's a job. That's why people become lawyers. They work in like firms and stuff. The people who are profiting from people's injuries would be people who like are hitmen or people who are paid to harm someone and they take the money. Lawyers aren't really profiting from someone's injuries, they're profiting from helping that someone get justice because of their injury. You know, them being injured is kind of like a byproduct of the situation. Not a good one, but yeah.
Other side of my clients are insurance companies. Insurance companies do this. They take in premiums and they try not to pay claims. When they try not to pay claims fairly, that's when I'm hired. When I'm hired, the people who are hiring me cannot afford a lawyer by the hour. And the insurance industry, they live in this world. Deny, delay, defend. Their job is to never be fair with you. The people who come to me at their time of need are people who've had something taken from them. The business I'm in is being the key to the courthouse for people who can't afford it, taking all of the risk, and believe me, I've lost some cases where I've written off millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, the only thing between me and them getting a fair shake from the insurance industry is what we do, which is take them to trial. So I never even realized it could be this lucrative until I got in it. But I've also scaled it in such a way that most personal injury firms are like, you know, one-trick ponies in one city. I built mine throughout the entire United States. And
Yeah, his intention isn't to actually do it on purpose. His intention was to just start the business, see where it goes, and it's making a lot of profit. That's good. I'm gonna continue. His intentions are very important as well. It's not like if in Islam your actions are heavily judged by your intentions. For example, you wanted to help someone out, and the intention was really pure. You just wanted to do something for them, and you didn't realize this something was going to harm them. For example, you wanted to tell someone about someone's bad work, and you were like, I want them to improve. You did it through a mediator or whatever, but then suddenly this mediator was like, oh really? And then they go shout at them, or like something harmful happened. That is not good. You can't really do anything about that situation because it's not your fault that this happened, but your intention was good. So yeah.
by having the scale that I have, my profit got a lot bigger.
You have mentioned before that you make money off of people's injuries and stuff like that. Do you think it's ethical to, I don't want to say take advantage of people, but take advantage of people when they're most vulnerable?
I think what I do is highly ethical. I think that the insurance industry is very unethical. I believe that I'm the difference between people getting back what was taken from them and relying on the insurance company. I believe that what I do is almost, not quite, like a ministry, because people come to me in their most desperate hour, whether they lost their home, lost a life, lost a limb, lost livelihood, and they have no way to fight back. So I can tell you this, I sleep very well with what I do and why I do it, because I am the civil police representing the people who cannot have a voice for themselves. I got into this business because my brother Tim was paralyzed, so I got to see what it's like to be on the other side. I got to see what it's like to be the poor person that's being oppressed. And I'll tell you what, it is the worst feeling in the whole world to be hopeless, powerless, helpless. And when you get to step in and even the playing field and say, hey, that ain't gonna happen. And when they try to give you peanuts, we're like, we're not taking peanuts. When I walk into my lobbies throughout America, when I see those clients sitting there, I see my brother, I see my family, and I want to treat them exactly the way I would have wanted to be treated.
Do you believe most billionaires?
It's good. I feel like they're not really understanding him. Their opinions are not changing based on what he's saying. They're still staying in that mindset. Okay, billionaires are bad. They're taking profit of people's injuries. They're unethical. All this. I don't know. I feel like they're not really listening to him properly, you know? Not saying that he's like this angel and oh my god, because of, I don't really agree with his marijuana thing being recreational, being illegal everywhere. However, doing it for a good reason, and he's actually doing good with his money, and he chose not to let it change him as a person. No issue.
And lawyers are compassionate.
I think it all depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on your experience. It depends on who you're dealing with. It depends on what's happening. I feel like this is such a weird, baseless question, because it's the same thing as what's the word? Expecting someone from a certain group to know everyone in that group. Oh, he's a billionaire, he knows every billionaire. Like, it's this exclusive group and they all talk to, like, no. Same thing as if I'm an Arab, I don't know every Arab. You know what I mean? It's a weird question. I feel like it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't help or change anything just because his opinion is this. It doesn't actually change reality.
I believe what's helped me in my life was I came from a very difficult childhood with a lot of economic insecurity and alcoholism. Everything bad that you could think happened did happen. But the good thing about those things, if you take it the right way, is those things can generate later in life serious compassion on your part. Whenever I would see somebody homeless, I used to tell my children, just remember this, they don't want to be there. And once upon a time, that was a little girl and little boy eating an ice cream cone, swinging, having the time of their life. And they don't want to be there. And don't judge them because we don't know how they got there.
John, how do you care for your clients when you're done with them? I know your motto is for the
What do you
people,
mean when you're done
but
with them?
it seems like it's only for the client. Up until a certain point, the award is won, the case is closed.
It's like transactional, like just that's it, get out.
How do you take care of your people after you're done with them?
Here's how I take care of the people. I change conduct. I just got a big verdict against Takata airbags down in Miami a few weeks ago. I can promise you this, because of my cases, Takata is changing their conduct. I'm one of the lawyers on the opioid cases. These pharmaceutical companies were killing us. That's not happening anymore. I have cases against the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry is in the business of premeditated murder. These are evil, evil, evil companies. And so for the people, not my clients, the people who I'll never represent, the people who will never know me, I'm changing conduct.
My question to you, throughout law school, I heard a lot that lawyers are the reason why insurance costs so much and is expensive. So what is your take on that?
Well, you heard that from the insurance industry. There's been tort reform after tort reform all across America. And you know why they have this, what's called tort reform? To take away your rights, my rights, their rights. They say, we're going to take certain rights away from you, and your rates are going to go down. But here's what's never happened. They've never tied one of those bills to a mandatory decrease of insurance premiums. These insurance companies take premiums in, they make bad investments, and then they say, oh, the lawyers are causing us to make bad investments. No, the lawyers aren't the problem. The insurance.
He has a lot of wisdom. I really like it. He has really reasonable answers, and they do make sense. It's not heavily biased, but it sounds about right, to be honest. I don't know.
Companies who run their companies poorly are the problem, and they just want bigger profits. And by the way, when you go home, Google their profits. Google what their CEOs are making. They're not hurting. They're making a lot of money.
If you lost all of your wealth tomorrow, what would be your next step in this struggling economy? Do you think you could pull it off? Do you think you could be just as successful?
I think if I did this again, I would not be.
This question was already asked but by who? I think by this guy. But she asked it in a more like, now, what would you do? The industry has really changed and everything. I feel like it was easier to be a wealthy person back then. Like if you started a long time ago until now, you're set, you're good to go. But now it's a lot of industries are very saturated, and it's hard to actually find a job or make money, especially online. So, well, still there are a lot of industries that are saying that, well, we don't really need a degree anymore, you know, to do this. Same as, like, for example, sort of engineer. What if, like, in the future you don't need a degree to work as the same job as an engineer? You work side by side with someone who's educated for like 4 or 5 years, and then you just skills coding off the internet, you know?
Be this successful. This has been a series of left turns and right turns, and all of a sudden you end up here. I'm not arrogant enough. I believe that 99% of what's happened to me is luck or blessings or whatever you want to call it.
I'm a pastor, and one of the core tenets of many faith systems in the world is a rejection of possessions and wealth. Do you feel like you had to sacrifice part of yourself or your faith or your family to be able to get where you are today?
Wait, I'm processing. Hold on. This guy with he said with is all luck and everything. I feel like, yeah, it's blessings. There's of course many people can do the same thing as you, but you get the blessing because it was in your, like, it was meant to be for you. You know, what's meant to be for you will not miss you by any means. So he was meant to get rich no matter what. So yeah, I feel like you don't need to make sacrifices to acquire the wealth you have. Because, I mean, of course there are things that need to take place in order for what's meant for you to come to you. There's a thing that needs to happen, but some people just get rich just like that, you know. He just said he didn't even know how it came. Like, I don't think he will have a sacrifice. Let's see.
Not at all, because my faith has been at the forefront of everything I've done. It's the teachings from my faith guide me not only in my life, but in my business life. And those lessons are fairly clear to me. Do I think I need to take a vow of poverty? I don't think so. If I'd done that, I would have been a Catholic priest. So no, I have never found a conflict in making money in my faith. I think the conflict would be if I made money and didn't use my money for what I've been taught to use my money for. What my goal is I don't live anywhere near what I make, except, you know, my jet, and that is excess. But I don't live that way, and my goal now is that I think my children are set. I do not want to leave the government one penny. I think that, I mean, if you want to see your money wasted, give it to Congress. And what I want to do is I want to do as much as I can while I'm alive and leave a huge amount of money into a foundation, and that will say at that foundation, faith without works is dead.
I personally work at my family's cafe, and I was wondering, how much do you normally tip customer service workers that are in serving positions?
I don't like these sort of like personally acquired questions, or like these sort of like, if I work for you, how much would you pay me? Oh, not much? Okay, I hate you. You know what I mean?
$100, and I'll tell you why. We're a member of 3 different churches, and my wife gives away, I don't even know what she gives to these churches. But I am much more interested in leaving $100 tips for my servers and for the people who cut my hair than throwing $100 in the collection plate, because $100 to somebody can change their day. I got a case one time where a little boy was killed by a bus in Jacksonville. My investigator called me and said, I just think I'd tell you how we got this case. I said, how? He said, the woman met you once. I said, when did she meet me? 5 years ago. Where? It was Christmas Eve at Bob Evans, and I went there for breakfast with my daughter, and she told my investigator, and he left me a $100 tip. That's why she called me. So I don't know where your cafe is, but let me know and I'll come in and
Amazing.
leave you a $100 tip.
I'll definitely let you know. That's an amazing tip. Thank you, John.
Do you believe it's justifiable to be worth $1 billion while millions live in poverty?
No.
Justifiable. Justifiable? That's so strange. That's so strange. He didn't choose to make himself this rich. It's not like he told God like a secret, like, make me rich. You know? He just got rich, and it's not like it she's thinking of it as if, okay, someone gets rich automatically means harm on the poor. No, you get rich, he did a lot of good things with his money donated, helps people in his firm, you know, change the law, like he does good things. But to say is it ethical to be a billionaire? It's strange because it depends on the situation, and she said because while millions live in poverty, it's not like a billionaire can suddenly change all of this, but he can definitely contribute to making their lives easier. But he's not the one that determines everyone's living situation. You know, 1 million people is a lot of people to take care of. This question should better be asked by like the government and authority. They are in charge of everybody in the country. They get punished. Yani, in Islam, you are, when you're in charge of a group of people, whatever happens to them bad is your fault. You need to take care of your people, basically. So if you're the government and there's still people in poverty, that's not good, because you need to have a bunch of charity organizations, you know, things like having it a requirement to pay charity from your salary to these people, so that people are not fully equal, because that would not be good. Everyone just equal in money, because I don't know, you can definitely search on why it would not be good to have, like, you know, everybody the same amount of money. However, it would be good to have there be comfortable instead of poverty. Comfortable. Oh, I'm craving a croissant. I'm able to go get a croissant. You know? I'm able to go get myself breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm able to, you know, come back to my house and nothing is missing that would make me happy. Like, I'm not missing a TV or something, or air conditioning. Things that are not missing that would improve quality of life, you know? And then, yeah, that should be like the lowest thing, is to be like comfortable. The other things, I mean, anyone could be rich, it's just that people should not be poor. That's the point.
If I could undo it all and let us all be the same, that's what I would do.
Okay, and do you believe, because I heard something about how you don't agree with the government spending, which I actually do agree with, so how would you split up the money?
She said it like I actually agree with you on this. This is preposterous that I actually agree with you.
The most to the most with the least. I believe that there are people that are, and I don't believe it, I know it. When you go out to the Morgan Hunger Relief Center, the people that are walking in there are not the homeless. They're walking in there dressed in work clothes with their children to get free food. And it's an abomination.
Yeah, because I go to the University of Florida because I remember you mentioning it. And one thing I've noticed as a college student is that there is a lot of corruption throughout it, from the president, even from student government, funneling millions. And then when I look into to see what happened to them, nothing really happened. They didn't go to jail or anything.
Look, the University of Florida, they hired this president who was just a buddy of the governor's, and he came up there and the University of Florida and took so much money, and he's still on the payroll, Ben Sass.
Yeah, that's what a lot of college students are talking about.
It's an outrage. And by the way, when you Google those articles, the alligator, I'm all over those all over those articles, ripping him a new.
So you just mentioned that
Her energy is very tense. She's very. It's almost like she had this adrenaline rush that she wants to fight somebody.
That everyone's a politician now, but you also said that you also have done at least 2 different things with legislation. So would you consider yourself to also be a politician?
Sorta. You know, everybody wants me to run for governor of Florida right now. When I'd go to the White House, they'd take me over to the side and show me polling on me. And there's a side of me that thinks I could be good at it, but then there's a side of me that really enjoys living in Maui half the year. So I became sort of a politician because, listen, they were fighting me hard on the minimum wage. They were fighting me hard on medical marijuana. And I was out debating sheriffs, and everybody I was debating had a green suit on and a gun. So it's like, you know, a little hard to debate them. So I was sort of a politician because I was in the political realm, and that's why all this talk about me, about people wanting me to run for governor is percolating.
So today, I think we've all sat here and we've heard you talk about your jet and Maui and your 3 homes and the money that sits in your account that you don't care to touch. I think we all have experienced at some point in time that moment that you talked about as a kid, sitting there hoping and praying that somebody would help you. So I guess my question that you didn't really answer, you just told me how much you have. What stops you from helping
Yo.
every person in this room that's struggling right now?
I feel like there is some lack of etiquette with his way of asking this question. It's a bit strange to say this. Like, he doesn't feel shyness.
That can't pay a bill, had to miss out on work. How do you help them? What do you do? Because you got a private jet.
Everyone's so pleased
But
with his
I had to take off from work today, and I'm struggling. I got bills, man. And I'm not begging for money, but I'm saying, what stops you from being able to go and help us
Oh my God, he's reaching this pocket.
and change our lives? Because
Let me give you 100 while we're here.
thank you.
Don't buy marijuana.
No, I don't smoke.
At
I
the
don't
middle
drink.
school.
No, man.
Nothing stops me. Listen, here's how I look at it. I went to a religious retreat one time under duress. It was called a Crescio. And I thought it was going to be a bunch of bullshit, and it was basically a bunch of bullshit. But at the very end, it all came down to one thing that I took from that meeting. And here's what I took. I can't change the whole world. I would love to be able to. But the phrase that I took from that Crescio weekend was, bloom where you're planted. What does that mean? That means I can't solve hardly anything. But every once in a while, I'll get a God whisper, somebody asking, then I think back to that Crescio, and it's like, bloom where you're planted. And I feel like at this moment, that's what I'm being asked to do. And I can only do so much. I'm trying to manage.
He's just one person. They're acting as if his money is gonna change the world. Like, him being a billionaire does not essentially mean he has all of these billion to spend on whatever. There's a bunch of expenses he has, and I don't know. They're acting as if he's their like hero and savior or whatever.
My money, so that at the end of it all, it can have the greatest bang for its buck.
You know, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure if there's anything that would have been a perfect answer, just because he's really good at talking to you and he's a likable guy, and he's soft in the eyes, so it's easy for him to get you on his side. So I don't know if there's anything he could have said that would have completely changed my mind. But I think showing your actions, he handed me $100, but there were people in the room had told their stories throughout the day, and with a wad of cash in your hand, you could shut me up, but he could have given it to everybody. He could have
shut you up. You asked for the money. He gave you money. What do you mean shut you up? He's acting like it's some sort of organization. Like, shut up. Shh, it's some money. Don't reveal my secret that I'm not gonna help millions of people in poverty. Yo, what? Some people are a bit delusional, I feel like.
have shown in that moment that he has the power to change your life, and he could try to change your life. Even if it's a small amount, it's better than nothing. And he didn't really do that.
He gave you $100 for doing nothing. He gave you $100 for doing nothing. Probably the same if you went to work today.
One of the takeaways I took is there was a quiet desperation, a little bit of a worry, about the future and a little resentment about people who have money.
So I think billionaires are inherently parasitical to society as a whole. No matter how they accumulated that wealth, they're always going to be profiting off of the backs of people who are doing the work. In his case, he's the better of evil system in general. While he is helping injured people get the settlement that they feel they deserve, he is still profiting off of advocating for that injury.
I'm of the volition that there's nothing wrong with billionaires. I'm a rabid capitalist, and I know John talked about that a lot, but that is who I am. That is my background. I think that if you have a financial wealth, yes, you should definitely do good things with it, and you need to help the people around you. That's just moral code. But I don't believe that billionaires are inherently bad, or they're out to prove world domination or something of the sort like that.
I think a lot of the questions are going to help me reflect on those questions and what I should and am doing.
Everyone was so mad. They had this agenda and they did not let go of it. They were so tense with it. Like, people were also just like, they have this weird sense of reality. Like, it's like they're not understanding the same reality that just happened. You know what I mean? They're viewing it from a different perspective that's completely foggy. It's strange. Let's see what the comments are saying. Frederick versus 20 people who watch this video and comment about Frederick. Frederick acting like he was... Wait, who's Frederick? Oh, the guy who missed his job. Frederick acting like he was forced to skip work. Yeah, what is wrong with Frederick? He's weird, man. He's a lot more charismatic than I envisioned. You can see why he's a successful lawyer. I never knew about him anyways. He's a billionaire lawyer. He gon' cook all y'all in the debate. Yeah. If you want money, call my wife. He brought 15 dorks, 1 bum, and 4 normal. Yes! Yes. Sure. Frederick thought he's in a Mr. Beast giveaway. I'm not begging for money. He's absolutely begging for... Yes, exactly. What's wrong with him, bro? He gets $100 for a sub story, and then yes, he's still complaining about it. He's still complaining. That's the thing with, like, some people just cannot accept the blessing that they just have. They just cannot accept to be grateful, Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it wasn't too infuriating. Hope it was entertaining. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Tell me what to watch. Tell me what to react to in the comments. And yeah, thank you. Bye.